Hey guys, this is for the Module 2 discussion. My view of ethics are honestly pretty similar to those that the text talks about in Chapter 2. On pages 49 through 51, the book talks about business ethics. In section 2.1, under the typology of ethical lapses, they give a list of ethical issues like stealing, lying, fraud, bribery, etc. And the list kind of just goes on. I feel like those are pretty strong and obvious ethics the average person should try to follow, or at least I try to follow. I don't think that you should steal from anyone or any company. You shouldn't lie to get a promotion. You shouldn't keep someone else from getting a promotion by lying about them or slandering their name. Same as you shouldn't bribe someone to try and get into a position or try to keep something hidden about yourself that would keep you from getting promoted. Tying this in kind of with the second part of how my views of ethics have changed over time. Well, kind of depends on the job. One job I used to work at was Comcast. I used to be a retention agent, so basically it was my job to try and keep people from leaving Comcast to go to another company. One ethical viewpoint of mine, which is part of the reason I decided to leave, was, and I know a lot of companies do stuff like this, was when you sign up for like a plan, you go into a contract, and in that contract you have ETAs, or what they're called early termination fees. And basically, Comcast would entice you or wrap you into these for typically 1 to 3 years, depending on your contract. And so our salesmen were, who were trying to make their sales and get their commission, that was their goal, was to just make the sale, make the sale, make the sale. But after you have like a month of I don't want to call it like a trial, but essentially you have a month where if you cancel, there's no early termination fees apply, basically. So the issue that I had with that is if you did want to cancel after that month, you had to pay these early termination fees, which would be hundreds of dollars just to cancel them. And I know a lot of other places do this, but I mean, I guess just the way that the salesman did this is what bugged me about it. Because some of them, not all of them, don't get me wrong, Comcast I think can be good and has fast internet, and like in that sense it's good. But I did see some bad practices happening where the salesman there wouldn't fully explain things, or kind of left people confused on what was happening to them, or kind of like rushed through the process quickly. And basically, if people called and talked to me and had like an issue or whatever, or they'd call a little bit later than they're supposed to because they said, well, the salesman said that my bill might look weird for the first month because of being charged for the first month and the last month and just weird things. So they said not to call or to hang out, and it should correct itself after a month or two. And then at that point, the early termination fees apply. So in order for them to leave, they have to pay out, and the salesman still gets to keep his commission. So that's where it kind of bugged me a little bit, because they became stuck in that contract based off what the salesman told them. So my viewpoint is kind of that you should hold honesty and integrity no matter where you're working, because I don't think it's right that to make your money, retain your commission, you have to kind of screw somebody else with adding things they don't need or making them confused about what they got, and then telling them to hold on long enough so that your commission would roll and you would be guaranteed to have it before they like call and cancel or have to pay any issues. So just some things like that. And not everyone's like that. It was just a couple of bad eggs, but unfortunately they give everyone a bad name and kind of ruin it for everyone. And I just didn't find myself to be happy or proud of that job. I just couldn't go in and be content with it. So I ended up leaving and doing other stuff, and now I'm way happier doing what I do. Some important ethical issues that I think need to be aware of in the workplace, in my personal opinion, are harassment, discrimination, and then any health or safety issues. So I think that if you're someone who's not being treated fairly or discriminated against, you need to say something without fear of repercussion. It's, you should not be scared to go to your boss, your manager, your owner, your whoever, and be scared that because you're saying something, because someone's, sexually harassing you or something like that, that you're going to lose your job or get in trouble or anything like that. Like, that should never happen. Um, and that goes the same with, your health and safety. An example, at least for me, was when I was an electrician. There were some jobs where we just didn't have tall enough ladders, And so for those of you who don't know, you're really not supposed to stand on the very top of the ladder or the second to the top of the ladder, like that second step. It's just kind of an OSHA safety violation. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I'm on an 8 to 12 foot ladder, and just because we don't have them to haul them around or anything, that you have to stand on top of them and kind of get the job done. And I had to drill into walls, drill into ceilings, mount stuff. I had to do all sorts of stuff on top of ladders, and I just wasn't the safest with it. Didn't really like it, and so that didn't last long either. But things like that should be, if I need something like that to, if I need the right tool for the job, it should either be provided or I should have the option to have that versus, putting my life in danger and doing that. I think that in today's society, a huge issue is social networking. So on page 51, they do talk about that social networking aspect. And everyone, now pretty much has a Facebook, a Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever. Everyone's got that nowadays. This is important because most companies have a media team, and they don't really want you to talk or post or anything like that. I've seen a lot of TikToks where people, will make a video of, how their store's running, or make a video of, like slandering the store they work at because they're like, oh, like they don't treat us right, then it's fairly. And then the, company comes in and will fire them because they're like, you're not allowed to talk, out loud and slander the company, slander, us to the media based off your personal opinion. So just, something that I thought was kind of an interesting thing. Another example of this that I have is at Taco Bell. I used to work there, and a lot of young adults and high school kids would always be in the back on their phones wanting to text. And, they just constantly needed to check their phone while, and we might be busy, but they're, for whatever reason, not doing something. And I had always had to be like, hey, come back. You got to come back. You have to come to your job. And at one point, I told someone that they couldn't have their phone in their pocket. It had to be in the back of the store. And they said that they wanted to call HR because I was taking their phone. And I was like, you're free to call HR. Go ahead and talk to them. And sure enough, they called them and basically said, along the lines of, oh, it's my phone. I pay for it, or my parents pay for it. Like, they have no right to do this. And then, HR would come back and basically tell them that, well, when you got the job and you signed, the little contract or little policy or whatever for your job, you actually agreed that you wouldn't have your phone on you at all. Like, it would be in the back, it'd be on silent or vibrate or turned off. And, basically kind of shut them down and, protected management. But, yeah, like just little things like that where it can affect your job if you're, not using it at the right times that you should be. And then based off my case study, I saw potentially unethical communication because in the article that I was doing, the news media was calling out a politician for sex trafficking and having sex with minors. If that is true, then that is super unethical communication because it's destructive due to the fact that it's attacking somebody's reputation. It could also be considered deceptive because if it's a lie, then the media is deliberately misleading the readers. There are also some ethical lapses because of if the said politician was having sex with an underage girl, then that would be considered interpersonal abuse, and the politician or the media, with what information they have, is potentially lying about it. And then how might that be addressed in such a complex case? Well, unfortunately, sometimes when there's lots of money or important people involved, the truth kind of seems to get buried as quickly as possible. And I will go, if you, in the other group, the other discussion, I go more in depth into it a little bit. But typically, I just find that when political events like this, there's money involved, and it just makes it go away relatively quick. I would hope that the media wants to be ethical, or should be ethical, and actually is trying to help this potential 17-year-old girl, and they're not just bringing this up because they want this politician to go down because they don't agree that he supports Trump. Shouldn't matter who he supports or what he does, what his job title is. If, he does something bad, the punishment fits the crime kind of thing. You should face justice for it. So I just hope the media is not using it as a way to slander him. And whatever happens, I just hope that the truth comes out, justice is served, and everything gets dealt with how it should be in the end. Thank you.